This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. I slept with my best female friend. Early in the morning, Hailey, wrapped in her blanket, got out of bed, looked at the scattered lingerie on the floor, and calmly lit a cigarette. After finishing her smoke, she got dressed and glanced back at me. "Rocky, get your ass up," she said, and with that, my deep blue underwear followed her words. I hastily put on my underwear as if pardoned, only to be met with her icy words right after. "Rocky, listen carefully. If a third person finds out, I'll take your life. I like Hailey. I liked her back in college. I admit, initially, when I became friends with her, it was with some ulterior motives, but somehow, this ulterior motive gradually turned into a heartfelt brotherhood. Don't ask me. I don't know which part went wrong. So much so that my roommate Jack commented that, in matters of love, I am like an embroidered pillow. Chasing girls requires shamelessness. First hold hands, then kiss, and after kissing, move on to the next base. Jack, who prides himself as a love expert, advised me, be a bit bolder. You and Hailey could even have kids by now. Go away. I was stingy with words. I know Hailey isn't that kind of girl. She's from Ohio, with a bit of rebelliousness in her bones. If she really wants to do something, you don't need to say much. Just ask her out for a drink, and she'll just say, let's go. If she doesn't want to do something, no matter how much you plead, even if the king himself came, it's no use. After graduation, we went our separate ways, but still kept in touch intermittently. It was Jack's wedding day, and we returned to Philadelphia. My flight was delayed, but she insisted on waiting for me to have a drink together. I can't drink as much as she can, but unexpectedly, she got drunk first this time. A lot had happened since graduation. She fell for her boss, a married scumbag, who, in a matter of moments, took her virginity. The trick was exactly as Jack had described. Rocky, why am I so foolish? He tricked me, and I'm still thinking about him? Rocky, are all men terrible? Rocky, say something. She got drunk and acted wildly, clinging to me like a koala. I didn't dare look at her. She was so close, with her fragrant breath, the subtle scent from her hair, and her alluring, full red lips. Then, Hailey cupped my face with her hands. Rocky, do you want to sleep with me? At the wedding, Jack stood grandly in the opulent hall, kneeling on one knee before the beautiful bride. Accompanied by the deafening wedding march, it even stirred an inappropriate feeling of emotion in me. Beside me, Hailey was crying like a waterfall. It's not your wedding. Why are you so emotional? Are you a cold-blooded creature? Hailey punched me. Watching Jack get married is like seeing a troublesome eldest son finally married off. It's so relieving. Ha ha ha. The metaphor of a troublesome eldest son is indeed apartment. I looked at her quietly. Despite what had happened between us last night, this morning we still tacitly joked around as we used to. Everything seemed normal, but I felt a bit uneasy inside. When it was time to leave, I took her to the airport, and we didn't say much throughout. Just before boarding, I finally couldn't hold back and pulled her luggage back. I wanted to say, come with me. I'll take care of you for a lifetime. But before I could open my mouth, Hailey gave me a warm smile. Is this how you send your old mom off? What? Hailey pulled her luggage back. Get lost. My most trusted friend. See you in Fate allows. Most trusted friend. I was stunned. She pulled her luggage through the security checkpoint without looking back. That word friend ultimately silenced me. Hailey, who's the cold-blooded one? I've liked you for 6 years. Heard you slept with Hailey? Damn, how did you know? Duh, it's not just me who knows. Everyone at the wedding knows. Jack's voice was full of glee. Everyone saw you carry Hailey back to the room. Do you think people are blind or stupid? A chill ran down my spine. Alright, I can start choosing my method of death now. Bro, strike while the iron is hot and make your move. Jack excitedly urged over the phone. This is a chance given by heaven. If you miss this, there won't be another. I'll think about it. Think about what? I bet $500 on you. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. I sighed deeply. I've tried contacting Hailey these days, but the conversations always collapse halfway. She just stops replying after a while. The explanation is always the same. Busy with work. I searched online for explanations for this situation, and the answers are always the same. Keeping a backup. I'm convinced Hailey wouldn't keep a backup. Hailey's looks are a matter of personal opinion. Some find her stunning, others find her average. Unfortunately, I'm in the former group. Despite that, during college, many pursued Hailey. There were official second-generation rich kids with Cadillacs, flashy student union presidents, and eloquent assistant counselors, but none succeeded. The worst was the student union president, who even got beaten up by Hailey at the school's Southgate. Hailey often put her arm around my shoulder. If I don't look for you, and you don't look for me, our friendship really is revolutionary. Fool, what revolutionary friendship? It's because I like you. I mentally complained. But because of this timidity, I haven't made a proper confession. Only a few times, after drinking, did I hint vaguely. Hailey, you're single, I'm single. How about we get together? I thought it was a hint any girl would understand, a gesture of my initiative, but Hailey reacted extremely strongly. Get together? Why should I settle for that? I absolutely won't compromise. Hailey threw a tantrum. Rockey, do you look down on me? Do you look down on me? Huh. Another punch to the face. I hesitated for a long time, but finally made up my mind. I should be brave for myself this time. Hailey is in New York. Then I'll go to New York. I called my boss. Boss, you mentioned before that the New York division needs a department manager. Is that still available? I deliberately didn't tell Hailey in advance about my trip to New York. I planned to land at Zhengzhou Airport and then call her casually. Hey Hailey, I've arrived in New York. Aren't you going to invite me for a meal? I was sure that, at that moment, Hailey would be overjoyed beyond words. But the reality was somewhat unexpected. You're in New York? Why didn't you tell me in advance? Hailey's tone was somewhat reproachful, and she stammered for a while. I have plans today, so can we meet another day? Hailey, aren't you being a bit unreasonable? I came all the way here, and you won't even make time to welcome me? Well, it's not that I don't want to. Hailey's voice grew softer, and she sighed. Forget it, come on, I'll send you the restaurant details. An hour later, after I had dropped off my luggage and arrived at the restaurant, I expected it to be a private dinner between Hailey and me. But to my surprise, there were 3 people in the private room. Hailey stood up gracefully and patted my shoulder. So you decided to make a surprise visit. I smiled awkwardly. Who are these people? This beautiful girl here is Serena. Isn't she pretty? She's a new graduate we hired at our company. And the other one. Hailey's gaze flickered. He's Tony. Tony? The Tony who deceived Hailey before? My body instantly felt weak. A wave of powerlessness washed over me from my feet to my brain. I forcefully pulled Hailey out of the room. Are you crazy? Have you forgotten how he deceived you? You're still in contact with him? Even the usually fiery Hailey was at a loss for words, lowering her head and fidgeting with her hands. Well, we're not back together, just having a meal together. You really are something. I tapped her on the head in frustration. When rivals meet, there's bound to be friction. I couldn't lose face, so I had to keep up appearances. I changed my expression to look calm and composed, took Hailey by the hand, and went back into the room. Hailey and I sat next to each other, while Serena and Tony sat across from us. I finally had the chance to scrutinize the scumbag in front of me. The man looked to be under 30, with neatly groomed features. He wore a black leather jacket and had a pair of brown vintage glasses, a must-have for a scumbag. He seemed quite refined, which must be the so-called gentleman scoundrel. Rockey, right? I often hear Hailey mention you, so I'll drink to you. Tony stood up with a smile, and I assessed him with a half-smile. Tony, big brother. Oh, I've heard a lot about you. What do you do? A boatman, perhaps? The kind who straddles 2 boats? Bang. Hailey kicked me under the table. I gritted my teeth, barely suppressing my urge to yell. Tony's face twitched, but he quickly regained his composure. It seems my brother Rockey has some misunderstandings about me. Well then, I'll drink a self-punishment cup. The atmosphere of the dinner was quite delicate. The usually talkative Hailey was silent, while Tony and Serena chatted about company gossip. I was like a hidden assassin, adding a few jabs whenever the conversation heated up. Tony, you're so charming. Lots of young girls must like you, right? Tony, you manage your time so well. Truly a time management expert. Tony, the big boss, can handle both work and relationships so well. Impressive, truly impressive. Of course, this scumbag was no easy opponent. He cleverly deflected all my attacks, and I had to admit he was skilled in that regard. After dinner, Serena suggested going for karaoke. I had nothing better to do, so I agreed. When we got to the KTV, Hailey pulled me aside while I was on my way to the restroom. Stop being so antagonistic towards him, okay? Me? Antagonistic towards him? I'm not. Don't say you're not. If you keep this up, I'm going to be mad at you. I was stunned. Hailey's serious expression made it hard for me to believe. After 6 years of friendship, you're going to fall out with me over this man who hurt you. Fine, do whatever you want. I waved my sleeve and went back to the KTV room. This time, the seating arrangement had changed. I was next to Serena, and Hailey was sitting with Tony. During the singing, they occasionally whispered to each other and laughed, while I was consumed with jealousy. Serena beside me was very attentive. Hailey said you have a villa at home. Is that true? What do you do now? Are you a department manager at such a young age? I answered these questions with vague responses, but my gaze was always fixed on the pair next to me. Although they hadn't done anything out of line, the affection in their eyes was undeniable. I frequently toasted Tony, disrupting their rhythm. Eventually, Tony seemed to catch on. He patted my shoulder. Want to go outside for a smoke? Let's go. We went to the door in tacit agreement, and he helped me light a cigarette. I know what you're thinking, but don't worry. This time, I'll treat treat her well. How can you guarantee that? I sneered at him. I know you like Hailey. We're all men. No one can hide anything from each other. He looked at me with disdain, like a jockey who had just won a race. But she is mine. That's not certain. I refused to back down. We'll see. He put out his cigarette early and went back into the room. Once inside, he hugged Hailey, who shivered slightly but didn't pull away. At that moment, I felt my heart was bleeding. In a fit of revenge, I grabbed Serena's hand. She gasped and fell into my arms. I wanted Hailey to glance over, to see my so-called childish resistance, but she didn't. Her gaze never left Tony. My heart was torn apart. I started drinking blindly, trying to numb myself with alcohol. Everyone joined in, drinking with me until it was 2 a.m. We helped each other out of the KTV. I'll take you home, Tony said to Hailey. Not a chance. I pushed Tony away, my finger almost touching his nose. No matter what, I won't let you take her home today. Move. Tony was also riled up. He grabbed my collar with one hand and tried to pull Hailey with the other. We were caught in a frantic tug of war. At that moment, Hailey spoke up. Rocky, let him go. Tony, take me home. I looked at Hailey. Her face was calm, her eyes filled with determination, like a commanding officer from on high. Her voice was not loud, but was unmistakable. She clearly hadn't drunk too much. She was the best drinker among us. I watched Tony take her to the car. Afterward, an agitated Serena took a taxi home on her own, leaving me alone in the cold wind. Next to the KTV was a tavern. I stumbled inside, ordered a table full of drinks, and poured alcohol into my stomach like water. I wanted to cry but couldn't. My throat felt as though it was stuffed with a black garlic bulb, uncomfortable and aggrieved. As for what happened next, I always believed Hailey's version a year later. She just sent me back to the hotel and did nothing else. After that night of drunkenness, I rarely saw Hailey. I woke up in a hospital. Due to drinking too much, I had alcohol poisoning. During the drinking, I didn't notice that a pickpocket had stolen my phone and wallet. The medical expenses were covered by Peter, the bar marketing manager who had brought me in. He was my first good buddy in this city. He took me to buy a new phone and get a new SIM card. When I opened my phone, Hailey's messages were the first thing I saw. Are you okay? Why aren't you replying? Have you made it home? You should have told me in advance. Look, this is really awkward. Next time, I'll invite you out to apologize, okay? I snorted and locked my phone. Hailey turned my earnest efforts and full commitment into a joke. Bro, love troubles, huh? Peter patted my shoulder. It's not worth it, man. You're tall and handsome. There are plenty of girls out there. I didn't respond. Thanks, bro. I'm really grateful. If you need anything in the future, just let me know. Don't mention it. But no matter what, we shouldn't mistreat our own health, right? Peter was right. I shouldn't linger on the past. This 6-year obsession had to be let go. I didn't ask my boss to change my job. Maybe due to setbacks in romance and success in my career, I was doing well at work and received quite a few bonuses. In my free time, I would visit Peter's bar. Except for Hailey, I was still quite marketable. There were always single girls who would strike up conversations with me. However, just when things were about to get serious, I would let them take a taxi home. Even Peter said it was a pity. You don't want it? You can give it to me. Such a waste. Interestingly, my relationship with Serena also progressed rapidly after that. We often met up for meals, and our relationship grew closer. She confessed her feelings to me several times, but I deflected each time. As for why, I couldn't explain it myself, but after that, I never saw Hailey again. Most of what I heard about her came from Serena, who said that Hailey and Tony were very much together and living a comfortable life. I touched my chest and found it didn't hurt as much. One day, I was sent on a business trip to Silicon Valley. In the evening, I wanted to wander around the Walmart there. At the Walmart entrance, I saw Tony with a girl I had never met, with big waves of hair. I didn't want to get involved, but somehow, my actions seemed uncontrollable. I rushed up and landed a hard punch on him. Scumbag, die. Even though Tony was tall and strong, he was somewhat timid and guilty. After taking a few punches, he didn't fight back and fell to the ground. Do you deserve Hailey? Do you deserve her? Tony laughed and spat. I've had enough of that girl. She's all yours now. F***CKU. My punches became fiercer and he fought back. We fought fiercely and even the security guards dared not intervene. In the end, it was the police who intervened to mediate. We both had injuries, but no economic losses. At the police station, Tony, with a bruised face, pointed at me. You're a tough guy. Wait for it. I won't let you off. Bring it on. I gave him a salute. After he left, I dragged my injured self back to the hotel. Looking at the pitch black night sky. I suddenly felt like crying. Rocky, is it worth it? That night, I couldn't sleep. With the cooperation of the department, we completed another major case. The youngest female employee, Alice, insisted that I treat everyone to a celebration. I couldn't refuse. As I was about to take a taxi outside the company, someone stood in front of me. It was Hailey. Her eyes were bloodshot, and her face looked exhausted. When she saw me, she forced a smile. Got any plans? Let me treat you to dinner today. I'm afraid not. We're having a department dinner today. I pointed apologetically at the department members beside me. Oh, well, let's do it another day then. Hailey smiled again and turned to leave. Seeing her solitary figure, my chest began to ache again. I resolutely told my department and then ran to Hailey's side. Alice was so mad she stomped her feet. Later, I heard from my colleagues that Alice had cursed me all the way home. Let's go. If the food isn't good, we're not done. I grabbed her arm. Hailey was taken aback and then punched me. Just a beef burger. Do you want it or not? I want the deluxe version with double beef and ketchup. After dinner, we strolled around Times Square, reminiscing about many past events. The first time I drank was with her. The first time I smoked was with her. The first time I skipped class to surf the internet was with her. The first time I traveled with a girl was also with her. Of course, I helped her cheat on exams. I wrote her assignments. I solved problems with troublesome boys for her. Even sometimes I helped clean up the dorm. Do you remember? Our graduation trip to Phuket Island in Thailand. She had her hands behind her back, the evening breeze brushing her hair. You couldn't swim, so I put you in a float and took you to the sea. The water was so clear, I was just having fun, and then a big wave came. When I turned around, you were gone. I was so scared, running around frantically, only seeing your float. I was shouting your name like mad, feeling like I was about to cry. Turns out, I was building sandcastles on the beach. I laughed awkwardly, and you swam so fast that your swimsuit came off. You still dare to bring it up? What's wrong with that? Seeing it is like not seeing it. Better to see it myself. Bang. Hailey punched me. That was our graduation trip. After much deliberation, we decided to go to Thailand. I'll never forget Hailey standing in the sea, crying and shouting my name. This scene I will be moved by for a lifetime. Just for that, I will like this girl forever. Next to Karen Beach, there was an unassuming little bar called See You. At that time, the bar had an event where couples had to write a message for each other, and this note would be displayed at the bar in 3 years. The bar was inconspicuous, and the participants were few, but Hailey and I were very enthusiastic. We wrote messages for each other. I wrote, "You don't know, but I actually like you a lot." As for her, she kept laughing after writing and never showed me the note. Today, when I asked her about it, she still wouldn't say. You should check it out yourself. It's been 2 years, hasn't it? Work is so busy, I don't have time. Then I can't be blamed. Hailey paused, listening quietly to the chimes of the Rockey Tower, then suddenly leaned close to my ear. Be my boyfriend? I was stunned. What did you say? Good things don't get said twice. She gave me a look. I hesitated, then gently took her hand. Hailey, don't regret it. A week later, Hailey and I moved in together. In name, it was to find the feeling of being in love. In reality, her rent had expired. Perhaps because of our established friendship, we had a familiarity that new couples don't have. We knew each other's deeper meanings with just a glance or a smile. I could even tell what kind of stool she was about to have from her fart. But this lack of mystery in our relationship indeed made it feel no different from when we were just friends. We had lived together for a month, and nothing had happened between us. I had tried, but whenever I pushed her onto the bed at night, she looked at me and soon started laughing. Her laughter would make my desire vanish. Hailey said she really couldn't control herself and asked me to be patient. One day when I got home, Hailey presented me with a burnt ham and egg. Seriously, how many times have I told you? I'll handle the kitchen. Can you stop ruining the farmer's hard work? Hey, I don't cook at home either. Be grateful. I put on an apron and smiled wryly. What would you like to eat, dear guest? She sat at the table obediently. Red wine steak. Just as I was pouring oil into the pan, there was a knock at the door. Hailey skipped to open it, and when she saw who it was, she was stunned. It was Serena. Serena was equally shocked to see Hailey. Both parties were like they'd been hit by a guarantee. Silence was the theme of the evening. What are you doing here? They both asked in unison. Then their eyes shifted awkwardly to me. With a shrug, I said, I don't know either. Serena took a deep breath and walked in, removing her shoes. Rocky, it's messier than last time I was here. here. I felt like jumping into the frying pan in front of me. Hailey wasn't to be outdone. Oh, then maybe I won't be able to come over anymore. This home now has a mistress. Hey, Rocky, isn't this the shirt I gave you? It's still hanging here. Serena continued, heading to the balcony. You still look good in white. Hailey glared at me, her teeth grinding in anger. After several rounds of back and forth, I finished the meal and shakily placed it in front of them. They picked up their chopsticks and started eating, while I sat anxiously, barely touching my own food. Eat, Rocky. Here, have some meat. Serena put a piece on my plate. Here, eat mine too. Hailey added a piece as well. One piece from her, one piece from Serena, one piece from Hailey, one piece from Serena. Half of the chicken from the pot ended up in my bowl. I forced a smile as I looked at the two of them. I'm not very hungry today. Eat. They both roared in unison. Got it. I buried myself in my bowl. After the meal, Serena left my home, satisfied. Hailey, you'd better keep an eye on him. Don't let Rocky slip away. Don't worry, that won't happen. After all, you didn't want Rocky back then. Hailey, you're a good mare, eating the old grass. After Serena left, Hailey began to interrogate me. I confessed everything honestly. When Hailey wasn't single, I did have a brief, retaliatory flirtation with Serena. Honestly, Serena was more beautiful, bustier, and had a better figure than Hailey. But I didn't have the same spark with Serena as I did with Hailey, so we never established a relationship or slept together. Did you two kiss? Hailey, it's not that serious. I'm asking you, did you kiss or not? Hailey demanded, standing up and slamming the table. Don't play games with me. Did you or didn't you? I looked at her and suddenly felt a twinge of dissatisfaction. Yes, we did. So what? Good, very good. Hailey's voice trembled with emotion. I'm packing up and leaving now. Seeing her actions, I felt a chill inside. What's wrong with a kiss? Did I say anything when she was with Tony? Just thinking of Tony felt like touching a sensitive nerve, causing unbearable pain. I grabbed Hailey's hand. Fine, Hailey. It's okay for officials to set fire, but not for the common people to light lamps, right? You slept with Tony so many times. I didn't hold it against you. Now, when I kiss someone else, you're throwing a tantrum? Hailey, you can't be so double standard. Hailey was stunned. In all our time together, I had never really lost my temper with her before. Do you think I'm dirty? Hailey seemed to realize something and suddenly laughed. Fine, don't forget, you've slept with me too. I haven't. Don't lie. At Jack's wedding, I told you, you were drunk that day. I slept with you that night. Hailey was dumbfounded. Do you still like Tony? I laughed maniacally. What am I then? Hailey, am I just Tony's substitute? Even sleeping with me was just to see if I was better than Tony? Don't play me anymore. Stop messing with me. You know what Tony said? He said, let me have fun with Rocky. Hailey, you're just a plaything in his eyes. But this past month, have we done anything? Not once. Hailey, I've had enough. You leave now, right now. If I can't handle it, I'll avoid it. I don't need you throwing tantrums over a kiss. I had a hysterical outburst, and Hailey remained silent. She casually packed some clothes. Rocky, fine. You win. I'm telling you, we're done. That day, I carried Hailey back to the room. It was undeniable that Hailey looked even more beautiful when drunk. Her eyelashes were long, her nose was prominent, and the peachy hue of her face looked intoxicated. I kissed her lips. Hailey opened her eyes and looked at me. Rocky, do you know what you're doing? I do. Good. She closed her eyes again. I took off her clothes and my own. As I looked at her creamy skin, I suddenly paused. Hailey, have you ever liked me? Hailey groggily opened her eyes. There's a type of friend that you wouldn't want to date. I watched her quietly, then lay down beside her, holding her close. Hailey, if you want me to be your lover, I will go all the way. Hailey, if you only want me as a lifelong friend, I will accompany you till the end. Thinking back to that night, it feels like it happened yesterday. Now, everything is irrevocable. Hailey eventually moved out of my apartment. She said she needed some time to think and for us to make the right choice. From her perspective, she hadn't moved on from Tony's shadow, and it wasn't fair to me. Additionally, she seemed unable to accept my physical contact with Serena. She didn't expect her reaction to be so intense. I'm not sure which factor was more significant, but I respected her choice. During the days when Hailey wasn't in the apartment, I admit I missed her. Thinking about her burnt meals, her washing her feet and putting them on my face, watching ridiculous variety shows together, and her turning the living room into an internet cafe so we could play chess together. It seemed like her presence was everywhere. Even the red wine steak I made didn't taste as good. Serena contacted me a few times, but I clearly rejected her. I only like Hailey. Don't waste your time. I was wrong in the past. She called me a jerk while crying and hasn't contacted me since. Alice from the department, seeing no hope with me, married another man female colleague from the company. Everyone was moving toward better things, except for me. I tried to contact Hailey, but she rejected my calls and even blocked me on Facebook and by phone. I went to the company to find her, only to discover that Hailey had already resigned. In the vast sea of people, I had finally lost Hailey. That night, I drank alone and walked home by myself. On the way back, I felt something was wrong, as if there were shadowy footsteps behind me. Just before reaching home, I heard a voice behind me. "Hey, is that Rockey?"
What?
"You've got guts." A group of 7 or 8 strong men surrounded me. The leader pulled out a baton from his bag. "Tonight, I'm teaching you a lesson. Don't mess with the wrong people." Instantly, cold sweat made me sober up halfway. In this city, I only had one enemy. Tony. Is this Tony's crew? I tried to stay calm. "Brothers, go." I turned to run, but was grabbed from behind. My suit was torn apart, and I was hit hard on the back. A sweet taste suddenly filled my throat, and I collapsed to the ground. I desperately used my hands to protect my head, but blows kept landing on my abdomen and back. I tried to fight back, kicking wildly, and managed to hit a few of them, but my actions only enraged the thugs further, and their kicks became more intense. At that moment, a loud shout suddenly came. "Get away from him. Rockey, are you okay?" Through my blood-smeared vision, I saw the newcomer. Hailey, carrying a suitcase, charged into the crowd. She barreled through, startling the group of men. History and the present overlapped. I seemed to see that Hailey from the beach who risked everything to save me. "Rockey, get up. Rockey, stop playing dead. Rockey, didn't you say you liked me? Come on, if you get up now, I'll marry you." Her eyes were filled with tears as she looked at me, but I was already drained of all strength. The sound of police sirens grew louder, and my consciousness became more and more blurred. In the end, the last thing I saw was Hailey's tear-streaked face. When I woke up, I thought I'd see Hailey, but I was wrong. Hailey was always the most unpredictable person. The injury is basically stable. Mild concussion, left wrist fracture, right wrist crack, and other minor bruises. "Thank you, doctor." I spoke weakly. Was a girl the one who brought me here? "It was a police officer," the doctor said with a sigh. "You need to rest. The police will need to question you later." "All right." I completed the statement procedure, describing the attacker's appearance as best as I could, and then lay back in the hospital bed. While idly flipping through the books next to the bed, a letter fell out from between the pages. "To Rockey, from Hailey." I touched the warmth of the letter and instinctively felt it was from Hailey. I carefully opened the letter and read it word by word, feeling a sense of relief afterward. "No matter where we are, Hailey, Rockey wishes you happiness. To Rockey, by the time you read this letter, I will have already left the city. Hi, don't ask me where I'm going. I won't tell you even if you ask. Anyway, we've blocked each other on Facebook and phone, so you won't be able to find me. So, don't bother. Honestly, if I were a guy, I'd probably be a jerk. Maybe it's due to my family background, but my novelty comes quickly and fades just as fast. Don't think that I didn't date anyone in college because I didn't like anyone. Actually, I liked many people but didn't want to have them all at once. That's the truth. Ha ha ha. Am I really that much of a jerk? I knew I was. But with you, Rockey, my feelings are different. I solemnly tell you, Rockey, I liked you. When did it start? Maybe it was when you first asked for my Facebook during military training, or when I got you drunk at the Southgate sushi shop, or maybe it was when you did so many assignments for me and helped me cheat on exams. I'm not sure. I cherished this relationship but feared losing it. I wanted to be with you but was also afraid of being with you. We were too familiar, to the point where there was no sense of novelty or mystery and naturally no freshness. So, I think the best relationship for us should be lifelong friends. But things didn't go as planned. Since we crossed the boundaries of friendship, being friends might no longer be possible. You won't see me as a friend, and I won't see you as I used to. Our relationship seems to have only two possible outcomes, together or never together. As for which outcome it will be, let fate decide. Let us disappear from each other's lives for a while, experience different excitements, live in different ways, and become those strangers who don't know each other. Then we can decide whether to meet again or forget each other. Let's meet at the Catter Bar on May 13th next year. If we can meet there, we'll be together. If not, let's forget each other. But please believe, Hailey has never played with Rockey. Hailey has always cared about Rockey. Hailey will always bless Rockey. Sincerely, Hailey, deeply regretful for causing you trouble. Rockey, Hailey, you don't know how much I like you. Hailey, idiot, of course I do. If we're fated to be together in this lifetime, we should be a couple. If not, let's just be like a mother and child. Haha, you must have sneaked a look at my note while I was in the bathroom. I couldn't help but laugh. Mother and child, you wish? If anything, I'd rather be your dad. Honestly, over the past year, I've changed a lot. My music preference has shifted from classical to electronic. I've developed a liking for gaming and variety shows, and even my muscles have become more defined at the gym. I've been sitting in this bar all morning, just waiting for a girl. Even I don't know if I'll be able to wait. I wandered around the bar, turning and turning, until the owner became impatient. He seemed to remember me. 3 years ago, there was a pair of Chinese people who drank recklessly here, eventually getting drunk on the white wine that Hailey had brought. Where is she? She will come soon. As soon as I said that, the owner jumped a bit in surprise. With nothing to do, I stood in front of the bulletin board, looking at the notes left by other couples. At that moment, Sawadee-ka, Kankan-ka, excuse me, make way, thank you. A woman wearing a sun hat pushed me aside and started marking up the note with a marker. Hey, what are you doing? Why so rude? I looked closely and saw that Hailey's note had a check mark next to the words, faded. You, this handsome guy, what should I call you? She gently removed her sun hat, revealing the mischievous glint behind her dark sunglasses. She was wearing that bikini I knew so well, her skin sun-kissed from creamy white to a tan bronze. I'm Hailey, and you? I instantly laughed to the point of tears. Hello, Hailey. I'm Rockey. Everything felt like it was just as it was when we first met. Everything was perfectly right. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.